Hello guys, Eckhart Slaughter here with another episode of Star Wars Starship Versus, the series where I take two of your favorite Star Wars spaceships, put them head to head, and see which one would come out on top. Today we are looking at two very heavily modified, very famous Corellian freighters, with the Outrider, ship of famous smuggler Dash Rendar, taking on the Millennium Falcon, ship of Han Solo. Now, right now the Falcon is one win and one loss. So I think it'll be interesting to see where it comes out in this video. Yesterday we had another cross-franchise episode with the Borg Cube from Star Trek taking on the Death Star. I haven't actually uploaded that video yet, so obviously I can't share the poll results for it yet, but I'll make sure next episode that we have the votes for this episode and for that previous one. But right now let's focus on today's episode, which again sees the Outrider going against the Millennium Falcon. As always, I'm going to be comparing these two ships in several categories: firepower, defensive capabilities. Typically I'll look at fighter support, but since these are both freighters, I'll substitute speed and maneuverability, and then also intangibles. But we're looking at the two ships overall, so just because the ship wins more categories than the other one doesn't necessarily mean that it takes the battle. Also, because I like to focus on the ships themselves in these videos, we're going to presume that both the Falcon and the Outrider are captained by people of equal skill. Finally, for the purposes of this video, we're going to take both of these ships as they existed between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That's because the Falcon gets a lot of upgrades in Star Wars Legends, and of course, Shadows of the Empire, which heavily features the Outrider, is set primarily during that era. Alright, so let's start first with weaponry. And both of these ships are fairly similar. They have vertically mounted laser turrets and concussion missile launchers. And I will say the only difference seems to be that the Millennium Falcon uses quad laser cannon turrets instead of dual laser cannon turrets like the Outrider. So just because the weapons are heavier, I'll give the advantage here to the Falcon. Next we have defensive capability, and interestingly, both of these ships had a hull rating in the game Star Wars X-Wing Alliance. And even more interestingly, that game gave them equal hull strength. Other than that, we know that Han used armor plating from a Star Destroyer to reinforce the hull of the Falcon, and that the ship uses capital ship level shielding technologies, making it extremely sturdy and durable. And really, I think the levels that Han went to upgrade the ship are kind of legendary. And while we know that Dash Rendar 2 upgraded his ship, I don't think we know that he did so to the same level. So for that reason, I'll give this category as well to the Falcon. Next we have speed, and on one occasion the Outrider and the Millennium Falcon actually did race, and the Falcon beat the Outrider but just barely. However, I don't think this is actually particularly useful because this was right when Dash just got the Outrider, and we know that he heavily modified it and that the Falcon was heavily modified since then as well, so I'm not really going to take that into consideration. Two different sources have put the Outrider and the Millennium Falcon within 5 megalights of each other, with the Falcon being slightly faster. For the purpose of this matchup though, I'm just going to call it a tie, even though I think the Falcon is probably a little bit faster. Alright, so finally we have intangibles, and I think the main one here is that the Falcon always seems to be falling apart. That being said, in the movies it's the hyperdrive rather than the weapons or the shielding which seems to fail most often. I mean, even when the ship is in its worst state during Empire Strikes Back, it still takes shots from Imperial Star Destroyers and keeps going. Other than that, the ships are pretty similar. The Falcon is slightly larger, but they both have weapons in similar places, and I mean just overall their design is pretty similar. So now on to the actual matchup, and I think it's pretty clear what's going to happen. So the Millennium Falcon seems to be just a slightly better version of the Outrider. It's got better shields most likely, and it's got heavier weapons. And I mean, this makes sense. The Falcon is the main ship of the Star Wars franchise, while the Outrider kind of appears in Star Wars Shadows of the Empire primarily. Logically, you wouldn't really want a one-off ship being better. And I mean, both of these ships are really meant for smuggling and for running away from fights rather than making them. So in reality, if the two ships came into contact, they would probably try to escape rather than stay and fight, and that would be more interesting because they both have very fast hyperdrives and they're just very fast generally, although again, the Falcon, in my opinion, slightly faster. But if they are forced to fight, then I think the Falcon takes this, and I think it takes it 8 times out of 10. I gave the Outrider that 2 out of 10 chance, just in case I'm misreading how powerful its cannons are. So overall, just to summarize, I think the Millennium Falcon was more heavily modified than the Outrider, especially when it comes to defensively. In addition, the two ships are probably around the same speed, but the Falcon most likely has heavier weapons. I will say though, both of these are great ships, and I really love the design of the Outrider, so nothing against the ship. I love it, I love Dash Rendar, and I really love Shadows of the Empire. Anyway, right now you can take a second to vote on the top right there. Let me know which ship you think would win, or if it's too close to tell. Also, let me know down in the comments if I misinterpreted something, if I'm right, if I'm wrong, whatever, and of course, which matchup you'd like to see next time. Anyway, thank you for watching. Until next time, may the Force be with you.